Welcome to the Cinema 9 podcast. It's Eric, Travis, and Mike, and it's time for this week's edition of Trainspotting, which is imply that there's a weekly edition of Trainspotting, which is not true. It's just this week we're going to do Trainspotting on the show. That'll be our main focus for our Does It Hold Up segment. It'll be a lot of fun. Eric chose it, so hopefully we won't be too critical of his choice, and he'll, because he's a very sensitive man. He's also a creator. He's created something. And I think it's pretty unique. And I really, really want to give you a lot of credit, Eric. You've created a movie again. That's 2 short movies now in the last year. It's really, really cool. What do you think?
Thank you for watching. I don't want to talk about myself, but if you go to my YouTube, you can check out my latest film. I'd appreciate it.
Who promotes that? How does the promotion work for your films?
I do it a lot on Instagram. I got my own. I have a website for my film production. It's just me, but my film company is on there, and I get a lot of feedback on there.
And then you and I can promote it for him also, Mike. It's called Instant Life. You can find it on YouTube. Just search Instant Life 2023 Short Horror or something like that.
Also, I've added Eric's YouTube channel to the Cinema 9 channel, so you can see it right there, and you just click on it and it's there. So it's a real easy access. If you like our channel, you can just go right into that. Travis, it is the Cinema 9 podcast, as you know.
I do.
And let's see. Yeah. Last week was going to be, there was talk about doing something, it didn't work out, so that's why there was no announcement for Trainspotting. Somebody texted me today, like, hey, did I miss the announcement on this? I'm like, no, you didn't miss the announcement. We did not do an episode. We were going to do an episode, and then I couldn't be there, and then that's what happened. So that's society. What can I tell you?
It's a secret episode. Surprise episode.
Oh, cool. We should do secret episodes. That could be fun.
Yeah, let's record this and then not post it anywhere. It'll be a secret just for us.
Is that what a secret episode is? Well, then maybe not. Yeah.
Let's use pseudonyms for the show's name and our names and just randomly title it something and post it. And
Got 1 view. Huh.
Ah, cool.
All right.
But how you doing? What's going on? How's society treating you?
Society is fair to me. I live in privilege, so I'm doing okay.
Privilege. Yeah.
I'm doing all right. I'm enjoying my partial break still. Just started going back to school, teaching again, but it's also like this weird babysitting week where I'm waiting for students to show up. So I was basically told, yeah, you can show the movies. I'm like, okay, so we're watching lots of movies this week.
Maybe one day down the road, you'll show Napoleon. Ridley Scott.
Maybe. Whew, maybe not.
Looks like a disaster to me. I mean, I'm not taking Joaquin Phoenix seriously at all as Napoleon. I'm just not.
I don't know how seriously I take Ridley Scott anymore as a director.
No, yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely. You said it.
That's the other point. I mean, I actually thought The Duel got shit on a little too much, but yes, there's a lot of bad examples of Ridley Scott films. When Joaquin Phoenix was in Ridley Scott's Gladiator, which was 23 years ago, it was just different. It was way different. It was a different role, too. Like, he was playing... Joaquin Phoenix fit the role of...
Who?
Joaquin.
This has to be addressed.
Joaquin.
Oh, I say Joaquin.
Well, he says Joaquin.
Let's try. I like to say Joaquin. That's
okay,
my
have fun with
Joaquin.
All right. It's like Scarlett Johansson when you say that. Like, oh, okay, that's how we're doing. That's how you're doing this.
It almost sounds like Ho King is what it sounds like. Yeah, I'm not really. Ho King Phoenix. All hail.
Ho-King.
He's not. I don't know if he's as short as Napoleon was, but
Napoleon
I don't care
wasn't
about
that short.
As much.
He was like 5'8", 5'9". He was actually.
Oh,
average.
really?
Yeah, he was average for his time. He was bugged by that when people said it about him. So his detractors caught on, kind of like how everyone says that she looks like Winnie the Pooh. He doesn't look like Winnie the Pooh, but future people might be like, hey, did you know that Chinese president? He looked like Winnie the Pooh. And like, no, he doesn't really. But this was like one of those things.
Interesting.
Yeah, when that preview started and like Joaquin's just started like talking in his regular old like Southern California voice, I was like,
exactly.
Jesus, are you fucking kidding me? You're not even.
I was dying to know how that would. Yeah, that was exactly what I was waiting for, Eric. I'm like, oh wait, is this going to be the Americanized? Like we're just admitting freely it's an American Napoleon story, and it was. It is. Like it will be. Yeah.
And then while we're talking current news, we should mention that there's going to be even more of a pause on new content because the actors have all gone on strike as of today.
They happened today? It's official?
It's official. It happened today, like an hour or so ago.
Hey! That's great.
Everything's stopping.
I mean, it's not great, but it's great.
Hey, I too applaud labor taking charge, and even if it's elite labor.
Well, they're not all elite, right? But yeah,
That's true.
yeah, you're right. It's a mixed bag. It's a little bit more of a wide hierarchy than maybe your local plumbers union. So.
Right. But definitely, I applaud their efforts, and I hope they get what they deserve, and the writers as well, of course.
Yeah.
Did you hear that everybody fucking walked out of the Oppenheimer premiere? They were premiering Oppenheimer, like the premiere, and the cast just like got up and left.
Oh, because of the strike?
Like in solidarity or whatever. But it's still
Oh, wow.
Jesus, okay. You can't promote the film.
We have to be that. I mean, okay. All right.
It's the first day of the strike. They're going to be extra militant, probably. I get it.
Well, couldn't they just left afterwards, too? It's like, well, I mean, we're already here. So.
No. Got to finish reading My Pet Goat.
Well, it's an exciting time, too, though. Yeah, Oppenheimer and Barbie are getting a lot of buzz, and that new Mission Impossible. So there's a lot of fun, like, theater excitement in the moment this summer right now, which is going to be...
We'll see.
Right. Like, that's it, because it's going to get drier and drier. With the writer's strike was already going on for a bit, and there's not going to be new stuff brewing. So you got to, maybe we'll talk to each other more. I don't know, maybe.
Well, maybe we'll rewatch stuff we've seen before.
Oh, yeah, that's right. There's all these other shit we could just, because that's what this show is basically about.
COVID cast?
COVID cast. That was fun. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Good times and Zoom life.
That was, yeah. That was like the most, I had never Zoomed that much in my life. To this day, I've never Zoomed that much in my life. So.
Yeah, Zoom fatigue. It was a thing.
Zoom fatigue. Well, let's get to quarantine viewing picks. Travis, you're on a little mini break, so I assume you watched some stuff.
Yeah, I did watch a fair amount of stuff. I went and visited family, and me and my sister caught Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. You can check out Eric's lengthy review on our YouTube page also. So I'll keep it short on that. Suffice it to say, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Had a lot of fun with it. Still not going to bother with number 4 probably, though. I watched that Arnold Schwarzenegger documentary, or should I say 3-hour campaign commercial, because he really wants to be president but knows he can't be. So that's fun. That's the pitch at the end. Like, by the way, I'd make a good president. Someone please make an amendment just for me. Spoiler
I watched
alert.
the Arnold doc. Didn't I mention that last time we did a show?
That's why I became aware of it, and that's why I watched it. And
Sorry,
I enjoyed it.
Luke just texted me that he canceled the next show for personal reasons. Sorry, I didn't want to get obsessed on a text. I really didn't. But anyways, go ahead. So.
Everybody got that out there?
That amendment?
Well, it's personal reasons.
What's up, Eric?
Did they address that amendment in Demolition Man when Schwarzenegger did become president?
Yeah!
That needs to happen. It needs to happen before he's going to become El Presidente. I checked out 65. Yeah, okay. Man, I don't know how you take a movie with this plot and make it dull, but somehow...
Oh, man.
Aliens and dinosaurs I was just like doing other stuff on my phone, fucking around. I just didn't really care.
I was pumped. It's like the dinosaur
too.
market is exclusively Jurassic Park, and then someone tries to do it, and it's not good.
I mean, it wasn't even that it wasn't good. I was just bored.
Was it aliens or dinosaurs?
Well, he's the alien. I mean, technically. He's,
okay.
Anyways. You can see it. It's on Netflix right now, I think. I revisited Dunkirk with my students. They liked it. I liked it. Getting stoked for Oppenheimer, of course. I revisited
you should see Oppenheimer in theater, Travis. That'd be fun.
Oh, I definitely will. Yeah, I definitely will.
I want to.
I want to see that. Let's go. Let's try to make that happen if we can.
Yeah, I'm totally into it. Would you want to do a Barbie, the Barbenheimer back to back?
Yeah, actually, I would. I really want to see Barbie. I mean, it's very. I don't know what it's going to be, but it's not what people who are just regular non-moviegoers think it's going to be.
Yeah, I'm stoked to see both. I would totally do both or either on the given day. So let's work that out off show.
I'm interested.
Last but not least, my main recommendation is exclusively for fans of the band Slint, of which I'm guessing 1 or 2 people out there might like Slint. They have a documentary, Slint? A pretty good one. Yeah, Slint. They had the album Spiderland, very classic album in the indie rock scene. They have a documentary called Breadcrumb Trail that came out in 2014. Lance Bangs did it, and it's like he literally documented this band from their existence in the late 80s into 2014 or so when it came out. So you've got footage of him like following these people around, interviewing people like Ian MacKaye and Steve Albini and all these other like luminaries from the genre and from the scene. as in depth of a documentary as you could possibly see about a band. It's really awesome, especially if you like Slint. So check that out if you like them.
To think I know something about music, and I have never heard of that in my life.
Dude, you're like king of slowcore. You love slowcore. I thought they helped create slowcore.
I didn't know that. I've never heard of it. I'll check it out.
Yeah, check out Spiderland.
I got something to live for now.
Hey, all right.
Jet skis, yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I watched. In short, I watched some other stuff too, but I'll just talk about all of it. How about you, Eric?
Shit. Yeah, I mean, I said it all in 45 minutes on our YouTube video available exclusively on our YouTube page about the Dial of Destiny. I was nervous. I mean, I was literally sitting in the theater before it started saying, please don't suck out loud to myself, which wasn't a problem because there was no one in the fucking theater on opening day. It was depressing.
No one
it was
cares.
like when I went to see Solo. I had all my snacks and shit, and there wasn't anybody there on opening day. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here?
Bummer.
But yeah, in fact, I liked it so much that let's just say I discovered it at home for the second time. I wanted to see it so bad again that desperate measures had to take place, and I did something I wouldn't normally do. I still loved it. That weird dead air I was complaining about on my first viewing. I'm like, this Spielberg would never have this dead air. I got used to it. I'm like, it's a different filmmaker, so it's not a problem for me anymore. So I see this getting better and better with multiple viewings. Okay,
Indiana Jones?
That opening is so strong.
Yeah, so long.
I loved it. I loved it.
Really? By the way, I was laughing because I just had so much fun I took like 35 screenshots of your different faces.
That, Mike.
That's what I'm trying to make the thumbnail for his YouTube video. It was just, I played with it way too much. It's just funny if you just watch a video and start taking tons of screenshots of someone you know, you'll have a lot of fun with it. A little side note.
Very expressive face. So I've been up north with the family, enjoying Michigan's beautiful, drop-dead gorgeous Upper Peninsula. And I showed my nephew, who's 14, It. He's like, Uncle Eric, let's watch a horror movie. I'm like, I got the perfect one for you. The original It from 1990, my personal favorite horror movie of all time. And I was curious. I'm like, is this 14-year-old kid going to think this is good? Or is he going to be like, where's the new one? Like, this is trash. Mm-hmm. He loved it. He was scared, and it was a huge success, which made me very happy.
That's great.
So, yeah, that's a great story. Okay. I watched Avatar because there was a copy up there at the cabin. There was a DVD of Avatar. I'm like, fuck it. I'm going to throw it in and see if this shit holds up. When you cast out all like your expectations, the Jim Camera ego bullshit and all the Fern Gully jokes and the Dancing with Wolves jokes, I dug the film, man. I liked it. Like I kind of liked it quite a bit. In fact, it played really well on a small screen, like a 20-inch screen. It just played well. I saw
20.
I don't know, man.
Really? Come on, 20. Come on.
He's in a cabin.
That was Kevin.
Still, we got at least 45. I mean, it's 2023.
No, cabin.
Not in that cabin.
Yeah. As promised, I did check in with Miami Vice on Tubi. All 5 seasons are on there. I've never seen this show. I've been hearing about it my entire life. I'm like,
Tubbs.
Who cares? Like, this guy's got like a white jacket on, like in a speedboat. Who cares? I turn it on, and you know what? It's pretty good. It's pretty good. And you know what? Funny you said that because I thought I was going to like this Don Johnson a lot. I like this guy, Tubbs.
Tubbs?
Who is this guy? Like, who is this actor? Like, where is he? Like, who is he?
I don't know.
Who is Tubbs?
He's gone.
Searching for sugar tubs.
Yeah.
How could this be a massive hit and a major introduction to legendarily sexy Don Johnson, but nobody even knows Tubbs' name?
I got some theories.
Yeah, I got a rough idea.
Yeah. I think we're on the same page.
Unfortunately, he was great. He was. I mean, as a kid, he was my
Philip
favorite
Michael
artist.
Thomas. Yeah.
Philip Michael Thomas. Okay.
Maybe it's
I
just
remember that
because
name.
it's
That
kind
was
of
a
boring sounding name.
No, it's not. It was like it's a serial killer name.
First
so.
names.
Yeah.
Phil
He's
Thomas.
not a serial killer. But, yeah.
I'm sitting here watching an episode, and I'm like, you know what? I don't even know if I've ever seen Don Johnson like in a movie. I'm like, oh yeah, I finally figured out Django Unchained, but I'm like,
Glass
I don't
Onion?
think I've ever seen this guy act in anything.
You didn't see Glass
else.
Onion? What about Cold in
Come
July?
on.
Fucking Cold in July, man. That was great.
What about that was he one of the Marlboro Man guys? Harley Davidson, the Marlboro?
Yep. That was one of them, I believe. What else? He did other
He was
work.
in that great movie, the fucking Dragged Across Concrete.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
It was
he's been in a
dragged
bunch of
across
shit.
concrete, I guess. But like
There's
I'm
Glass
picturing,
Onion.
I thought I was going to be blown away by this actor. I'm like, let's see what all the hype is about. I don't know, man. He's like 5'2", like he has this weird sounding voice. I'm like, why do people love this guy? I don't know.
He was sexy.
But it's a fun show. Sexy? Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
he was a sex pot for a lot of people, but he's serviceable. He's fine.
Dragged across concrete.
No
That's about
tubs.
it, Michael. What about you, dude?
Have you guys ever heard of the movie Moonlight and Valentino?
I've heard of it.
Yeah.
What is it?
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so, I've moved out of my place, so I don't get to live in Canada full time yet. So sometimes I'll stay at hotels. That's like part of my life. It sucks. I'm not proud of it. I don't like it, but they got cable, so I'll throw on the cable movie channel. The movie channel still exists, by the way, which I was like, oh my god, the movie channel still exists. And Moonlight and Valentino was on. I don't know what got me to stay on it, but I did. I was like, you know what? Actually, I did. Sometimes I'm finding myself doing this now for the show. I'm like, you know what? I've never seen this. I'll watch it and then I'll report on it for the show.
All right.
So this really was an example of it because it was a total chick flick, right? Because it's Elizabeth Perkins and Whoopi Goldberg. It's almost like a Boys on the Side. I'm like, is this gonna be Boys on the Side? Like it was. It was like that setup because it's that and Kathleen Turner. So it's and Gwyneth Paltrow. Those are your foursome right there. So it's good actors. And then Bon Jovi plays like this hunk who comes into Elizabeth Perkins' life.
Oh yeah, it's coming
Bon
back to me
Jovi.
now.
You coming back to you? Yeah.
This is circa Bed of
So-
Roses. I remember.
This has to be like, I didn't even look up the date on it, but it's got to be like 94. Like this is definitely 90s.
Bon Jovi.
It's not bad. It's actually not bad. It's a little bit too melodramatic, and I'd rarely say that. Frank, that's not something I say very often.
How's Bon Jovi's
Yeah.
performance?
Not good. Very, very dry. One note. Not a lot. I mean, yeah, he's a handsome painter who's got like these poetic things to say. I didn't think his face emoted very well for me.
I always
But
like
that's just
Mellencamp
me.
better anyway.
Yeah, give me Mellencamp any day of the week.
Any day. Good actor.
I started watching Last Man on Earth. I'd heard a lot about the show, and it was funny, and I love Will Forte. He's so funny. So me and Leanne sat down and started watching it, and it's pretty funny. It's Chris and Phil Lord,
Yep.
Chris Miller and Phil Lord. And have you watched it, Travis?
I watched it when it was out, and I'm sorry to tell you, as I recall, it just kind of peters out because I think it was canceled before it really completed its arc, which is kind of
Yeah.
unfortunate. But I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's 4 seasons, so
Yeah.
I don't. Okay, that's it. It's pretty funny. It's a wild premise, and it's really a great meditation on, humanity and our existence and some of the things we take for granted. Maybe it's pretty, and it's hilarious.
It's fun.
Will Forte. Yeah, it's Kristen Shaw and Will Forte, and then January Jones shows up. So yeah, it's pretty funny. Pretty funny show. And then I wonder what we mentioned. I watched a bunch of other like sports documentaries that Dave Horning would get angry about probably, so I'll just skip all that. But last one is I watched Black Hat again from Michael Mann and Chris Hemsworth.
Again.
2015. When it came out, I was like, this movie sucks. But it's a classic turnaround, guys. Like now I'm like, wow, this movie's pretty good. It's pretty good now. It really is. I still find it hard to believe that you can't have it all, man. I mean, Chris Hemsworth can't be the sexiest guy on the planet and be the world's best hacker and kick everyone's ass. You can't have all that. I mean, I'm just not buying that. Like that got a little bit out of control for me, but it's a really entertaining movie, and it's got Viola Davis in it, who I wrote this down. How many times does Viola Davis play a government stooge in different films? Seriously, not just Secret Suicide Squad. It's getting out of control. It's like
It's becoming more and more frequent. She's either like a mom or like a government official.
yes, yeah. I wrote it as a thing. Like this is a thing now. This is going to be a thing for me going forward. Viola Davis,
Sometimes she's
government
a woman
tough
king.
guy.
She's a woman king.
Oh, yeah,
from time to
right.
time.
Well, she takes the battle to herself. She takes it out there and does the work herself. Yeah, but I think Black Hat's pretty good. You guys should check it out and watch it again if you ever saw it and you thought it was lame. I love Michael Mann. It wasn't his best, but it's still pretty solid. So there you go.
No one's watching Secret Invasion?
I am, but I'm just
blowing this up.
I usually wait until I've finished it all before I comment on it, so I haven't said anything. But yeah, I've been watching it slower than I would hope for a show like that. Needs more pep. It makes me so far. I'm like four episodes in. I'm like, yeah, they should probably make more direct to Disney Plus movies than miniseries.
They might be axing them all. Iger's pissed.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think I got a problem now with Disney, and I didn't really have a problem. I've just kind of acquiesced to it all. The fact that we're going to go many, many years now without a Star Wars movie. It's supposedly 2026. And that's even a maybe. That's not a guarantee. That's a wasted. I'm getting really annoyed by the wasted opportunity with the Star Wars universe. And then with Marvel, it's a strange time now, Travis, because it was such an amazing achievement to do what they've done.
Yeah, and but think of how many decades of our life we spent like, well, Spawn sucked, but at least it was a movie about a superhero, sort of. Like, how long was it that we didn't get hardly any Star Wars movies or any good, superhero movies? So it's like,
well, I still think that's a missed opportunity. I do, and I think there were missed opportunities. So I think it sucks, but
mistakes were made.
Mistakes were made. But
Remember
with
the
Marvel,
90s?
I'm just frustrated.
I remember the 90s when I spent that whole decade hearing about Jim Cameron's Spider-Man with DiCaprio as Peter Parker. And they were literally, no pun intended, but dangling it above us forever. And it just never happened. And it was just so weird to have those characters just not available.
Well, all this shit going on now is compounding all this and making it more complicated. And it's also going to be used as an excuse, which is going to piss me off because that's what those people do. And they're also blaming the streaming wars. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Fans.
You get money 1 billion times over. Like the guy who runs whatever just Max now, right? That guy,
David Zaslav.
Yeah, David Zaslav, it's a shitload of money to do the job he does. And there could be a minor reduction in that. And there could be other opportunities. It's just a bunch of... I think I'm a little annoyed by the business right now, I guess, a little bit.
I think we all are.
That's not Marvel's fault either. So
no, Zaslav's fault.
Ask Zaslav. All right, let's get into the main focus. cinema9pod@gmail.com if you want to send us an email. It's always fun. And, of course, all the stuff. You guys know how podcasts work. You know how YouTube works and how you click the buttons and it helps us. So I'm not going to explain that. But it's time to dive in and explain thoroughly the movie Trainspotting. Eric picked Trainspotting, and it's true you've never seen this movie before?
You know what? This is a classic case of one of those movies where, like, if you haven't seen it, you kind of, like, know what to expect. It's like, okay, like, Ewan McGregor's running down the street. They'd probably do a lot of drugs. Iggy Pop. I don't know. I guess I don't even need to see it.
Well, I think you just gave the review.
Great job. Okay. But Travis, you definitely saw this movie a long time ago, right?
Oh my God, dude. I saw this movie so many fucking times. When I was like 93, 92, I was in a place where I had grown up being given like tapes that my mom's boyfriend at the time used to record for us. So I got really used to that habit. And when they broke up, I used to just like go to the video store and just rent whatever, anything that looked like it was remotely indie, and go home and record it before I even watched it. And so I had a copy of Shallow Grave like in 92, 93. And I was like, this guy, Danny Boyle and Ewan McGregor and Christopher Eccleston, I was like all about it for like a fucking 13-year-old. So I was actually really stoked for this movie when it came out. And then I got really and then the beach and that kind of stuff. And I started being like, I'm not so sure. 28 days later, obviously excellent. Anyways, so I was already a Danny Boyle fan. And of course the previews were like, they were energetic to say the least. So I caught this, I don't think in theaters, but I remember like wore it the fuck out. There was a poster. I think it was maybe Jim's poster in my apartment I had with him in Orlando. I don't think it was actually my poster, but definitely one that I watched a ton and have not seen in, I don't know, 25 years.
There you go.
20 years.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, you hit the sweet spot for Travis, Eric. Great job. I didn't see this movie right away. I'm not sure when I truly first saw it. I didn't have as much of a familiarity with it. It seemed like everybody had the posters, like Brandon's Trainspotting poster, and it was universally discussed, but I don't have a good memory of sitting down and watching it until I finally kind of absorbed it probably like 8 years ago, so. And then once I saw it, I was like, oh, I love this movie. And then I developed my own drug habit. And now, of course, like to me, it's like it just connect to it that much further for sure. So it becomes a movie that I've watched a lot. So I went from not having a lot of experience with it to having a ton of experience with this film. So having said that, do you guys know the score? IMDb score. What is it going to be? Is this a classic of 8 magnitudes or is it a 7? Really, I think that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, I saw it.
You saw it?
Oh, you saw it? Okay.
I'm going to say it falls just short of 8. I'm going to say 7.8.
Yeah, I think this, it seems like a classic to people, but at the same time, not everybody might think it's a classic. Maybe it's like a generational thing. I don't know. This is a tough call, actually, now that I'm starting to flesh it out here. I'll say it's like a 7.7.
Okay. You guys are shooting low, man. This is a bona fide classic in the viewers' opinions. 8.1.
8.1. All right.
Hey,
we were in the ballpark. We were up there. We were on our way.
Okay. That's awesome. Well, there you go. Rotten Tomatoes, they talk about movies on that website. Well, they don't talk about it. They write about it. Mm-hmm. People who are people. Some people are bots. You don't really know what's what unless they label it.
But
and
we're
even
people,
then,
and we talk about Rotten Tomatoes.
That's true. We are the people who talk about Rotten Tomatoes. They got a 90 on the thermometer, a 90, and then a 93 from the audience. They love it even more. So this is a very well-respected film on this site for the fans. As far as the critics, 1996, this movie came out, by the way.
Christian Science Monitor?
It's always good for a chuckle, isn't it? Ann Hornaday of the Baltimore Sun. In 2013, she reviewed this and said, brazen, hilarious, disgusting, audacious, altogether fresh. Great. Thanks, Ann. Fresh. A lot of poop in this movie, right? A lot of
There's some dongs and pussies.
Yeah, that's right. There's some
Dongs,
flat out
pussies, poop.
Yeah.
Classy film.
Dongs, pussies, poop. Oh, Christian Science Monitor. David Starrett.
Was that his review? Dongs,
No, this
pussies,
is-
poop. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, in 2013, David Starrett of the Christian Science Monitor said the following. So the Christian Science Monitor, mind you. It's hard to recall a movie that etches the horrors of drug dependence. Oh, yeah, of course. The horrors of drug dependence more shatteringly than this British tragicomedy, which Danny Boyle has directed with ferocious energy. David Starrett of the Christian Science Monitor loves it.
All right.
Okay.
How about that? Well, kudos to them. Good
It was
job.
a critical darling, this film.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I just thought the Christian Science Monitor would go the route they went, which
Well,
is
they'll surprise
drug
you.
dependency bad. Yeah. But
Well, they hate drugs. We do know that. All kinds.
yeah, not just the recreational. Yeah, all
drugs.
Yeah. Antibiotics, anything. Yeah. Time Magazine, Richard Corliss of Time Magazine said this film is about joy in conniving and surviving, in connecting with audiences in its own fizzy, jizzy style. Yes, jizzy. That's what it says.
Wowzer.
And that's
Fizzy,
why, compared with it, most other films look zombified. Ooh, wow. Okay.
Okay.
That's a
Fizzy
it's a fresh review, I'll say that.
Fizzy, jizzy. Oh.
Yeah. What does that mean? Can anyone read between the lines on that?
Didn't
or
he
is
have
that
an
just-
editor? No editor?
Yeah, you'd think Time could spare an editor. But
That was time? Good Christ.
That was- yeah, it was Time
Richard, you
Magazine.
misspelled Jezzy. No, I didn't.
well, we should get the British perspective. Liam Lacey of the Globe and Mail. Mm-hmm. The experience of watching Trainspotting, the electric, nasty, and slick descent into the milieu of young Scottish junkies, is a little like speeding through the digestive tract of some voracious beast. That's pretty good.
Sounds pleasant. Sounds like a pleasant experience.
I'd pay
Kind
money.
of nailed it. Yeah. Roger Ebert said this movie
Eebs.
has been attacked as pro-drug and defended as anti-drug, but actually it is simply pragmatic. It knows that addiction leads to an unmanageable, exhausting, intensely uncomfortable daily routine, and it knows that only two things make it bearable: Excellent, Roger. That's outstanding.
God, he was great. The greatest.
He really was good. I agree. That's an excellent synopsis, and nobody else is, at least in these brief.
Yeah.
Oh, hey! Thank God, guys. Yes.
All right, Desson Thompson.
All right, early Desson Thompson.
Woo.
The movie tags at the heels of Edinburgh. Social dropouts Renton, Spud, Sick Boy, and Begbie, for whom getting off beats getting out.
Yeah, he's had better.
He has had better, I agree. So, yeah. It's a movie about drug addiction. What else is this movie about?
Friendship and how they bring you down.
Yes! well, then it's, okay, yeah.
That's
but
pretty
then
much
it's
what it's
also, it's about loyalty, and loyalty sucks, maybe?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's about both. I would say it's both sides of that. Like, Renton talks a lot about, a mate's a mate, a friend's a friend, and you got to do what you got to do. Even if that friend is, I mean, who's the biggest piece of shit here? It's actually a
Begbie.
really good
Begbie's 100% the biggest piece of shit. I mean, he violently assaults people for nothing on a regular basis.
And why are they friends with him?
Right. Well, because he physically threatens them if they're not, I guess. I mean, they're all bags of shit. Spud being the least.
They are.
Ironically,
Renton's a pretty scumbaggy guy, though. I know it's easy to say Begbie, but Mark's a real scumbag.
I'd say Renton and Sick Boy are equally scumbaggy.
Baby died. Sick Boy's baby died.
But Renton never becomes a pimp and tries to recruit the teenage girl that he accidentally sleeps with. He actually feels bad about that. So I'm gonna put Renton a notch above Sick Boy. Yeah. So Spud,
Look what we're
Renton,
doing here.
Sick Boy, Begbie.
We're digging deep.
The hierarchy of goodness.
What about you, Eric? What do you see all that?
Well, we're definitely introduced right off the bat to these despicable characters, and the review is interesting for me that talks about this being hilarious. I don't know. Are we still laughing out loud 25 years later?
It's a comedy. I can't recall laughing much last night.
Me neither.
At all.
I tell you what I can recall when I watched it this morning. Turning it off and seriously considering a first for the show, which is not finishing a Spotlight movie. I haven't thought about this since This Is 40, when I wanted to turn it off so bad because it was so awful. But yeah.
But why?
I turned it off. I took a break. I power washed my deck, which was incredible. That fucking thing was so dirty. And I thought to myself, well, could I go to the show and say, guys, I turned it off. I couldn't get past this scene, and I didn't want to go back.
Oh, so
early.
early.
I have to do my duty as a podcaster.
You turned it off early then, huh?
I turned it off when they saw the baby.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's so weird. I have to bring. I don't have a lot of notes, but my big one is how odd it is. I never thought I was going to be that guy that's well, because I have kids now, I'm all different, and I see this differently. And in some ways, that's not true. When my daughter was born in my arms, I didn't change. I was just oh, well, this is a lot of responsibility. I'm not going to be able to do the things that I wanted to do anymore. That didn't really change. What changed is when I see babies in films, and especially when bad things happen to kids in movies, that is completely changed, irrevocably. So when I see this baby first in these first few scenes, I'm first of all, I'm how am I supposed to feel here? I get it. It's illustrating the depravity of the characters, which I can appreciate. But I'm if they do what I think I'm going to do, fuck this movie. I don't want to participate. And they did it, and I'm okay, why keep watching? I'm doing the show, so I don't give a fuck about what happens to these characters now. I got a dead baby, so I can't get past the emotion I'm going to have right now. It's not going to get better. It's not going to get worse than this scenario. So, where do we go from here?
Why can't you see it from a different point of view, though?
Elaborate.
I mean, it's not. They're not doing it for me. It's not done in a shocking way. It's not supposed to be a shock value. To me, it's a very honest portrait of junkies in action. This shit happens. I mean, it's extreme, obviously, but people who
I
are
see
so
that.
you know a lot of people in your life who've dealt with drug addiction, so it's not like you're not unfamiliar with it either.
Yeah, I know it, but I don't know. Maybe the way it was presented, I think implication could have gone a long way here, because I was just like, fuck this.
Such a long, lingering look at the corpse, and then Sick Boy is screaming, "Say something!" and his response is, "I'm going to cook up," and he cooks up for himself first, and the mother
right.
second. It is brutal. He says in the voiceover, he says that it's never going to be good again, and he's pretty much right that it is a turning point in the movie, and it is bleak.
Okay, I hear what you're saying, and I was wishing I turned it back on. I'm like, okay, this is one of those turning points, like an SLC Punk when his friend dies.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, the fuckery continued, and like the silliness continued, and I'm like, fuck, I'm out. I don't give a fuck about this fuckery anymore. It's too much.
Well, no one's going to change your mind here. You're just really caught up on that point, so it's a big deal for you. For me, I know it's not real. I don't give a fuck, so it doesn't bother me in the least. And I'm not trying to. That's just how I feel. I'm watching the movie. I knew it happened too. You've never seen the movie before.
Yeah.
I can't have that experience, so.
That's true.
Yeah, if I had a kid, maybe now, I still don't know how I'd feel because I've seen this since '96, so I'm pretty inured to it, I guess. But I certainly hear your opinion, and this movie, and it's not just there. I thought you turned it off at the toilet scene. Like, I was eating dinner, and I was like, oh yeah,
that was unbearable. I can't do it. I actually rarely look away from a screen. It takes a ton. I just couldn't do it. It was too real looking to me. That was awful.
Yeah, then it falls into like this weird fantasy that you don't really get elsewhere that much in the movie. I'm like, what is the purpose of this, and why are the suppositories so big and glowing?
I think I have a reason for that, by the way. But
go ahead. No, while we're on it, go ahead.
I think so. This is based on a book, right?
Yeah.
And to me, I thought that scene in particular was trying to like visually show what was written in the book, although I've never read the book, so I don't know. But that's how I interpreted it now, at least. I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, I don't really care for this scene all that much, but I get this to me, Inherent Vice, movies based on books that are god awful, and then this movie's, it's done better. It's based on a book, and it tries to be booky in a way. It's hard for me to describe it other than that in a way, but I thought that's what that part was. Like, hey, let's visually show what was written. It might have been like 10 pages worth of some kind of hallucinogenic adventure that Mark had about these suppositories.
Yeah.
I think Travis hit it, because, I mean, what it is magic realism, but they don't do it enough. I mean, if you're going to do that and whet my appetite, they do it a little bit when he has the overdose, and then none of that stuff comes back.
Well, and when
it needs to, because once they get in the heist, I'm like, who cares? I've seen this heist bullshit.
Where the baby comes back on the ceiling.
Yeah, so the withdrawal scene, the overdose scene, and the suppository scene. So we all get it there, and it makes sense for two of those scenes. But you're right. Like that was it. If you're not gonna have the magical realism, then why have it just in this one spot? It's off. It's like he was just dying to do Life Less Ordinary. Couldn't quite get to it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. But I think of this movie as I have to share my own experience, but it's like so rock solidly for a big movie, I guess. I know it's old, so it's gotten a lot more pub over the years, but it was a big movie. I assume it did pretty well. I would have to guess. Huge. I don't know right?
Huge,
but it's not I just think it nails at least opioid addiction quite well. It really does, and that's why after living that experience, I mean, I never shot heroin, so I don't know that part, but it's the same gist. You're addicted. You're physically addicted to something, and you have to do whatever you'll have to do. And I did a ton of deplorable things that I hate about myself just because I didn't want to get sick. And this movie nails that. It really does. Like it's not for shock value. It's not just to be like, look what we could write, or look how far we could go with the film. It's telling a story that I think is very honest from that avenue. Like the methadone. He talks about how the way it's written too, and how the book's words are put into Mark's narrative. I love that about this movie still. I really do. It describes it so well. Like when he's leaving that after getting out of the court, and he didn't go to jail, but Spud did, and he's taking the methadone, and he says, I feel the sweat glistening on my back already, and it's not doing anything, and that's why he goes to get more heroin when he ODs. I think that's so accurate. I mean, opioid use hasn't changed, right? I mean, from the 70s to the 90s to now, that's what happens.
And you definitely get to follow them in their decline, especially Tommy. Obviously, you see him go from like thinking that junk is the worst to having all of the worst things happen to him, which is really indirectly or even directly Renton's fault with the videotape. And
that's why I thought he was such a scumbag, Trev. That was the whole Tommy thing to me puts him right with Begbie.
It's awful. I mean, but at the same time, you know, as a junkie, like you see that he's sitting there and he kind of is like, no, I don't want to. When Tommy's asking about it, then he says he's got the money, and you see that that's like,
that's it.
Fuck. He had an inkling of trying to be a good person there. But that's really, I think, a lot of the ways what the film is about. Be careful who you hang out with. Be careful what habits you get into. Everything they do together. They get into drugs together. They get off drugs together. They get back into drugs together. They're super codependent, even though, I mean, he says at one point that like when he's sober, he hates to be around them because they remind him of himself. Like, oof, maybe make new friends. And then he tries, and his friends track him down to London. And it's like, oh, you cannot escape these fucking people.
I love that bit when he is reading the letter from what's her face when he's in London.
Kelly MacDonald, anyway.
Yeah, whatever her character's name. I can't remember her character's name, but
Diana.
he's reading that letter, and then Begbie was on the news recently, and then it just quickly says again, Begbie, knock knock. I love that. That's what this movie technically has got. It does a lot of good stuff that way that I really enjoy about the film still.
Yeah. Eric, did you find anything in the film that you valued?
Quite a bit. Yeah, sure. I mean, I do like the film. I just like, and I even appreciate that scene that disturbed me so much because I love it when movies challenge me. If I'm nervous watching a movie, I'm alive, man. That's why I love cinema. Those opportunities, which are very rare. I'm just saying that it's weird to feel that emotion, something I've never really felt before watching a movie, which makes it kind of, even cooler. You say that the film is, it's very much like how it really is. And yeah, I can identify with this. But, I mean, what's the difference between something like this that just like shows you what it's like to be a drug addict and a documentary about drug addicts? Like, what else is this doing besides being like, hey, this is what it's really like?
Well, it entertains you. Because, I mean, like millions of people have seen this movie. Do you think millions of people are going to watch a documentary about, like, Kensington, Philadelphia? Probably not. I mean, they should, but they probably should. Not.
Yeah.
This is like this is an extremely artistic telling. It's not just the plot or the story or the acting or any of that.
Music's great. I love the music in this movie.
And it's not just the music. It's Boyle's direction. It's Boyle's very deliberate, frenetic energy that he's bringing to this, that he is like, it's MTV, it's short attention span theater. It's
the way,
clip,
yes,
clap, clip. Yeah.
The way he executes the music too is really well done. It's not just the music itself, like the final scene where he decides to steal the bag and take off. How the music starts off as this slow synthy song. It comes on right before that scene starts to pick up, and then it all builds to a point where it's so 90s rave culture, that
so
song in particular. Yeah. Well, it just, in a way, I actually have a fondness for it now. I've like grown to really appreciate that music now when I really didn't then, for sure. But I love that. Like, I don't even know the words he's saying, but it just fits it so well. And it's at minimum entertaining, and at maximum, it is thought-provoking. So, yeah, documentaries are thought-provoking. Are they entertaining? Maybe not as much, but if you're enthralled, then I guess you are entertained in a way, too. So I don't need to debate that whole aspect of whether documentaries are entertaining or not, but it's an interesting point, Eric, I suppose.
The soundtrack was out of control and a huge deal back in the mid-'90s. That I do remember everybody having this. I'm watching this movie this morning, and I'm like, these songs are incredible. But, like, there's something different going on here that Danny Boyle's doing with this music. I couldn't put my finger on it for most of the runtime. And it occurred to me that, like, not a lot of directors play songs, like, in their entirety in a film.
Yeah.
He has, like, 4 or 5 tracks that he plays from start to finish over.
That's what it is.
These entire sequences that I'm definitely not used to seeing. And what it does, it gives you a very specific emotion because most of the time what the characters are saying is gobbledygook, but you're always left sustained with the feeling and the emotion of the characters through the music. It's fucking awesome.
Like we get a lot of sequences with music, the whole song underneath. And when Begbie comes to London, there's the whole sequence of him coming and going and pissing Mark off more. But that song is playing throughout. You're absolutely right. Well, that's a great point.
Yeah, that Lou Reed overdose sequence is, I think, the highlight of the movie.
And they didn't use heroin. The song Heroin.
Right. They went a different route.
I remember that was annoying when we did. Oh,
Blow? I think it was Blow. That was like
No.
overly.
Oh yeah, every stupid hit right on the nose.
The 2012 movie, Killing Him Softly. Yeah, that was, we were. Yeah, that was cliche. Sorry.
They used the song "Heroin" in the heroin scene. Yeah, that's you don't. Want to do
they do cocaine on Blow, I think, too, and it's just like eye roll.
Right. You don't want to do that.
Well, that was a mainstream drug movie. Is this a mainstream drug movie? I don't know.
Oh yeah. Well, in terms of popularity, I don't know if it was set out to be that way, but in terms of how it was received, it became pretty mainstream.
Did you read that fucking Bob Dole struck again, bashed the movie, criticized the hell out of it for its condoning and glorification of drug use? Didn't see it. Just like Natural Born Killers, didn't see it. He's out there trashing the film.
Politicized it. What do you know?
Yeah, whatever that was said in that. Whoever said that in the reviews we just did, that there was a lot of hullabaloo and pushback, or as being a pro-drug movie. That's for me. That's not remembered at all now. I don't. That was something of the time. I don't recall anything about. Hey, this sucked. To now.
Yeah, there's probably some noisy political right people making that argument, and then it got occluded by the reality.
Yep.
You mentioned the word gobbledygook. I wonder why. In the club sequence, when Tommy and Spud are talking and they're shouting, that of this scene alone, they decide to put subtitles in. I'm like, these two motherfuckers are finally shouting. I can actually really understand them for once. This is the scene you're going to put subtitles on for. But did you guys end up doing subtitles? Because I didn't. I never did as a kid. And I'm like, I'm not going to do it now. And I really didn't struggle. Begbie, I struggled with Begbie.
Every time
Begbie's
Begbie was
brutal.
on screen, I hit CC.
Robert Carlyle, he's so fucking good, man.
He's
Fantastic.
Great actor.
I mean, you hate Begbie, but he is
love the
Begbie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fucking
Mushmouth.
great.
And Spud.
Yeah.
Spud's pretty hard to understand, too, honestly.
I love the acting. Yeah, I mean, like, the thing about this that's weird for me that I'd never seen it is, like, I loved Shallow Grave. I fucking loved it, and I loved Ewan McGregor in it. And I guess if I would have saw Shallow Grave when it came out, I would have been at the first showing of this movie in the theater. But I saw that later on. But I'm telling you, man, it's off the charts. Like when every time, I'm so hit or miss with Ewan McGregor. Every time he's just in his natural Scottish voice, I'm like, he's so good. He's so frenetic and he's so reactive. But every single time he's an American, it's so fucking boring. It's so
Every
boring.
single time.
Every single time, especially Big Fish. Every time.
Well, I don't know
Maybe
about
he's
that.
thinking too hard, having to concentrate too much, and isn't able to just like naturally react or something. I don't know. It's got to be hard.
Are we specifically talking about Ben Kenobi?
Well, that's certainly how I feel about that TV show, anyway.
Well, just even if the prequel movies. I mean, Ben Kenobi's an iconic character. It's a little harder to like analyze Ewan McGregor, the actor himself. I mean, he's great in this movie. He does everything. He's Mark Renton, and when he goes to that withdrawal scene and the baby on the ceiling thing, that's just people have wild ass. I mean, I've heard so many stories from people about the crazy shit that they
have
imagine.
wild ass?
Yeah, they have wild
People have
ass.
wild ass.
People have wild ass shit that happens to them hallucinogen-wise when they go through withdrawals, especially off needle drug heroin, which is the worst because it's so potent to you. And I mean, it's an absurd moment when everything he's going through and like the game show. By the way, we mentioned Tommy, but like AIDS, this is the 90s and AIDS, it's a huge deal. And again, this movie takes me back to like, fuck yeah. I mean, we talk about the pandemic we just had now, but that was a thing that went on for years and it was very serious and so many people lost their lives. I mean, there's a new Rock Hudson doc out, it reminds me of that stuff too.
That's
So
right. I want to see that.
It's on my list. Definitely.
yeah, I want to see it. We all three want to see it, but yeah,
Tommy's-
what happened to Tommy's is awful.
Tommy's apartment all covered with spray paint, plague, and all that kind of stuff. What his neighbors had done to him, and even
That's
when
authentic.
Right, and even when Renton gives him the money, there's like this moment where they kind of look at each other like, I don't know if he's like worried about touching him or something. I'm not sure what that moment was exactly. That's what I think it was.
Yeah.
When did Irvine Welsh write the book?
No idea.
No, I'll effort that.
Why don't you effort that?
Yeah.
Why don't you wild ass that?
Although
I'll wild ass effort that.
I like what we have here in terms of
93. It's a recent. I thought it was an older book.
Shit.
Okay.
I would have figured it would have been.
Yeah, me too.
Wow.
I was gonna say the 70s.
I definitely did. Well, I get so much Alex DeLarge vibes here that I keep confusing Renton with Alex DeLarge. Plus, I mean, he's like a young Malcolm McDowell, just so electric.
That was my ending point. A clockwork. That's okay. A clockwork junkie. That's what this movie.
Clockwork junkie. A clockwork junkie.
Almost beat per beat. In terms of there's less murder and rape, but it's clockwork. It's a Clockwork Orange.
Is there a Sean Connery obsession in Clockwork Orange? I've never seen Clockwork Orange.
Really?
No,
I know.
I was thinking more of the book too, because the movie Clockwork Orange does not do what the book does, which is show the character grow up, which was a huge failure on Kubrick's part. Yeah. But the book, you're following someone go through like decline and then growth just through the inevitability of age, and that's pretty much what you're seeing here too.
I guess what I was trying to get at is the assuasions to socially acceptable drug addicts. They hint at it a little bit here with his parents and, pill poppers. And I mean, even Begbie to a large extent with alcohol.
Oh, yeah. He's constantly calling him out.
I think they could have done a little bit more. And like the state of like Scotland just seems like this shithole. And I would have liked to learn a little bit more about what was going on in that society, and because I don't know jack shit about Scotland except fucking the Highlands.
Well, he has that whole bit he does about what it's like to be Scottish. It's shite. We're the lowest of the low.
Yeah, I'm sure it's shite.
Yeah, it's
the colonized part too, Travis. Right when he says that, like we were colonized by the Brits who were scumbag, wankers. We're Yeah, it's great. It's a great
colonized
bit.
by wankers, but. It's also like the movie starts and he's talking about how he's checked out on life. We're not gonna get this. These are not the characters to show us around Scotland. This is not that kind of movie. This is the guys who will show us around a fucking tenement.
Yeah, they take advantage of the American tourists. So yeah, that's the only real opportunity you get to hang out with the tourists in this movie.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really funny. Yeah. Let's take a look at Scotland through the eyes of these scumbags.
You notice James Cosmo popping in there from Game of Thrones and Braveheart, playing Renton's dad.
Oh,
Senior Renton.
The George C. Scott wannabe. Yeah, I've always thought that guy kind of looks like older George C. Scott.
Do you think he wants to be, or do you think he was just born that way?
George C. Scotland?
George C. He's got a new nickname. I think he's dead too, but I like George C. Scotland. That's funny.
Yeah, George C. Scotland. I like it. He's always had an excellent presence, that guy. Yeah,
I like him. And we don't get a lot of other recognizable faces in this. We get like the main folks, but there's not a lot of people where you're like, oh, it's so-and-so, Kelly MacDonald. You're like, okay. And then after that, nope, just people I don't know, which is fine.
Yeah.
It's an
a lot of locals actors that I don't have a ton of experience with Scottish film, I must admit. So.
Nor I.
Is it resolute in that Renton decides to really turn it around this time at the end, or is it up for some ambiguity that he's going to take that money and jump back into the shitty toilet?
Well, I think it's definitely ambiguous in that. Now, I have no intention of seeing that sequel.
I was going to bring it up.
Yeah,
so you haven't seen it?
Yeah, I watched the preview. I'm like, what happened?
But I would
I've
assume
seen it 3 times.
The sequel. I would assume that you can tell me if you want, that he at some point, he's probably clean by the sequel start, but he has not been clean his whole life is my guess, because he's coming off of heroin. It's not something, you go back and forth before you're really off that stuff from what I've seen.
No.
Clean
he's like,
whistle.
Yeah, it takes that all the way that
he
just
chooses
lived
life.
This. Yeah, he's a boring guy now.
Okay. And then Begbie gets out of prison.
Actually has more to do with Sick Boy.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if it has something to do with Robert Carlyle was unavailable or what, but
he wasn't
they
in
focus on that. I actually I'm spacing out on that.
I saw the trailer. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's not the. I remember the. I don't want to give too much away if you ever do watch it, but it focuses on Sick Boy and Renton and the betrayal of the money.
Yeah, that's what I figured, but I thought it'd be more Begbie, I guess. But, I'm going to say something. I mean, when sequels come that much later, usually it's disappointing. But,
hell yeah.
Danny Boyle and Alex Garland and Cillian Murphy have all expressed interest in 28 years later, and I will be 100% on board if that happens. So, whatever.
And, I mean, Danny Boyle did the sequel. So
yeah, I know. I still haven't seen it.
I'm surprised. Yeah, I mean, I was so interested in Trainspotting that I was like, well, I at least got to see this. So that's because they had those primary original actors and director and such. I'm like, okay, this is pretty interesting. I'm going to give it a shot. So
I'm pretty.
Is it
picky
great?
About
No, but
pretty picky about my sequels. Ever since I got burned by that Henry Fool sequel, I'm like, never again. I'm not watching any more.
Faye Grimm. Woo!
Fuck that shit.
Oh, Hal, what are you doing, Hal? What else? Yeah. What else have we not covered here in this show?
There's some heroin. There's some sex. There's some poop. I think we covered all of it.
Yeah, the toilet hell, and then of course, I mean, if Spud knew that those sheets were filled with shit, would he really get in a fight like that to risk letting poop fly all over the place? I don't think so.
It's mildly unrealistic, but it is funny that it gets out everyone but him. But then she stays with him. Like, no, she doesn't. They don't keep dating after that.
She was already ripping on his penis, and what a fucking lame-o he was. Yeah.
She's like, not much, and here he is, like he's like hung like a donkey. She's like, not much.
And that to me, why Renton was still my number one scumbag is that he gave Tommy his first hit, but he led to Tommy's downslide by taking that tape and scumbagging him in that way. That was such a shitty. He never came clean about it, and it just all played out.
Yeah, shitty. Very
scumbag fest.
Okay. Well.
Okay.
All right.
You ready to go, Eric?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, buddy.
I was glad I picked it, man, because it did it did end up doing a lot more than I thought it was going to do. Because I had this preconceived notion that I'd no need to see it. Like he's running around, drugs. That's soundtrack. But no, it does have quite a bit to say. And interesting parts. Yeah, largely are, Travis, about influence and peers, especially when you're in your fucking 20s, when you have this weird sense of invincibility and yet this terrific possibility of fragility that could affect the rest of your life. I think it captures that quite well. What else can you say about Danny Boyle? It's incredible. Anybody else filmed this script, it wouldn't have been half as electric as it is. I mean, the guy deserves his place in the pantheon of the great visual directors, for sure. Fantastic cast. Soundtrack's out of sight. I've got problems with it. It's being so fucking disturbing, and I think implication goes a long way. But yeah, overall, it's a great film, man. It holds up.
I'll go next. It is entertaining, but if you watch it a lot, it kind of gets boring, which is amazing to say about this film, that it actually, by the time you get to the final third act, if you will, the whole London stuff, I'm like, okay, yeah, these guys are scumbags. I've seen this a lot, so I'm totally desensitized. There was a lot of honest truth in this film, but it's not fair to the film for me, maybe, to say that it doesn't hold up, because it's such a really well done pontification or just analysis without being analytical at all, really, about the life of a drug user, particularly a opioid user. So the soundtrack's awesome too. It still is. I just can't say this movie doesn't hold up, even though if you watch it 50 times, it might start to drag and get pretty dull for you. You know Begbie's a scumbag. Okay, he's a scumbag. Who cares? But I'm going to say it holds up just because of what it holds up if you haven't seen it 100 times.
Yeah, I had mentioned that I had not seen it in like 20, 30 years, something like that, or 25 years. And that's pretty much how I felt about it too. Is like, well, I wasn't itching to revisit. This isn't one I ever considered for the podcast. It's one I've seen so many times that I was really pretty sure how I felt about it, and that I didn't really feel a strong urge to revisit. And watching it last night, I mean, I definitely felt some of the tedium that you're talking about. I'm like, this is like an hour and 35-minute movie, and it feels twice that. I'm like, I'm just grinding on. Like, it's a lived-in movie. I like that about it. I would never say that this is not a good movie. This is expertly directed. I mean, expertly. Your praise for Boyle is, I think, well deserved. Well acted, well edited. Soundtrack is outstanding. When you get down to it, this is a really uninteresting story told very interestingly. This is well trod territory. This is fucking Clockwork Orange, just with heroin instead of milk. So I'm gonna say that this is a good movie. But if the premise of the show is, does it hold up to be as good as it used to be for me or better? It does not. Not for me. I would never say it's a bad movie and don't watch it, but it's not as good as I remember it being.
Yeah, it's been a while since we got caught up in the minutia of what it means to hold up or not. I liked it. I love it.
All right.
Good for you.
I struggled. I wanted to say, because it is a good movie.
I hear you.
But it just doesn't hold up to
brave.
what it once was in my mind.
That's basically what I was. Yeah, I feel exactly what you're saying. And
Okay.
I guess I couldn't say it didn't hold up, but you're right. The way you described it, word for word, I don't disagree. No.
All right. That's like 1.5 hold up.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. And I thought Eric was going to, I thought he was going to rip it to hell. So you never know. He's always good. Eric loves the bluff.
No.
He loves to.
I knew. When he said he came back to it, I'm like, oh, this is his new favorite movie. He went and power washed and then came back and powered through the movie. Now he loves the movie. He's going to watch it 20 times in the next year.
I wasn't so sure of that. Yeah. Well done.
I'll probably never watch it again.
Yeah.
I'm sure you won't. Yeah.
It's a great film, but I don't care to see it again.
Yeah, it's certainly like everyone should see it, right? Like it's in terms of classic cinema, you should see it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Great job.
So what's
your turn.
going on? Is it my turn?
Michael.
Yeah, it's you.
Yeah.
I didn't know where we landed, like if we were gonna do that thing with Dave or not. So
He won't be available, I don't think, next week.
Oh, that's right. Okay, he did update that. Okay. I do have to take Leanne to the airport next Thursday, so we'll have to work around out of time. Actually, maybe if we'll talk about that after fact. But I just have to take her to the airport Thursday because she's going to Virginia. So, man, I'm excited because I got so many options here. I've been looking at this list, going over it, thinking about it, been adding new ones, and I cannot believe what happened the other day because it was just so peculiar. I couldn't believe it. It was super peculiar. But the movie we're going to do is from 1998. And it is exactly the motherfucking movie that Eric texted a fucking photo of out of the blue the other day, which fucking blew my mind because I was thinking about that movie and looking at the website at that moment. I was. What? It was just so weird. I know it's totally coincidental, but it was an odd-ass coincidence. We're going to do 1998's Warren Beatty's Bulworth, a movie by Warren Beatty with Halle Berry and like everybody in Hollywood. Like whenever Warren Beatty does a movie, everybody in Hollywood has to be in it. So
Bulworth. Oh my God.
Has anyone seen Bulworth?
Yeah,
I remember. I saw it. Yeah, I saw it. Like someone had a VHS copy of it. It was like fuck around day in 1999 or 2000. Even at Travis's place, who's at one of these places.
Wow.
And
Bulworth.
I remember ripping it to hell. I thought it was a piece of shit. So.
Shit. Warren's red beanie.
Feels like
rapping, work. Yeah,
I know. Given the assignment.
I don't know what to expect. No one knows. I mean,
all right.
Who knows? I've not seen this movie since that time for sure. Rapping Warren Beatty is all I remember.
That's all anyone remembers. And Halle Berry.
Okay. And okay, well, we'll find out next week on Cinema 9 Podcast, Bulworth, 1998. I don't even know boy, this could be a tougher one to find, maybe. I don't even know. You didn't look?
Tough one to watch.
No, I didn't look on this one. I'm sorry. I can help some people out if they need help. Either way, Bulworth. Thanks, everybody. Travis, Eric, Michael, Cinema 9 Podcast.
Choose life.